Welcome to the Unwrap Your GIFT Masterclass. This is the flagship masterclass that I have. Great. This is going to be an intimate session, and I wanted it to be designed that way. I wanted it to feel like an actual masterclass rather than a sales pitch, because I've been to so many of those sales pitches, which are great. However, after 60 slides in, you still haven't learned a thing. There's not been any exercises or any transformation. And you're like, did I really just sit here for a whole 90 minutes and find out about you and not learn anything about me? Well, that is exactly what I did not want to do with the Unwrap Your Gift Masterclass. And that's why I created it to be a fully interactive session. So we do exercises, we talk, we share, we learn together. And what is the one thing you would love to take away from today's masterclass? What's one of the things that made you sign up? So, I know what it feels like to constantly chase success, especially if you've got big goals and big dreams, that feeling of always wanting to know what's next. I also know what it feels like to look okay externally, but then to feel empty inside, and nobody doesn't know. I know what it feels like to also want more, but you keep on procrastinating. Anyone relate? Yeah. And I also know what it feels like to secretly doubt yourself, even when it looks like you're totally fine. And so many talented people struggle with the same thing. You work hard, but you often feel overlooked in your work. You want more purpose and fulfillment, especially if you've been in your role for a very long time. You may struggle to communicate your value, even though you've got lots of experience and lots of education and lots of credentials. You may compare yourself to people who seem more visible or ahead of you. And this is more prevalent with social media. And as a leader, even though you have a lot of amazing things about you, there may be that fear of visibility and self promotion that comes up time and time again. However, I'm talking to you if deep down you know that there is more inside of you. This is just for you. And I always say this is a beginning, like this is like a first step on your personal development journey. If you are trying to explore what does your next step look like for you, then this is a workshop masterclass for you in that space. Well, why does this matter to me? I know what it feels like to be overlooked. I worked in the corporate world in various FTSE 100 and Fortune 500 companies, including BP, GSK, and Dell, for over 10 years. And I've seen how many talented leaders struggle to be seen and struggle to share the amazing things they do. I transitioned from HR consultant to executive career and leadership coach to help leaders become more visible and confident in their careers. I'm also ICF, ACC credentialed. Thank you, Coach Shafia, who is my mentor in that. And I'm also an I Am Remarkable Gold Facilitator, which you've both attended as well. And I'm all about self-promotion. And if you don't tell nobody, then nobody doesn't know. Over the last 16 years, I've coached thousands of leaders globally and facilitated hundreds of leadership and career development sessions. And it is the thing that lights me up. It's my gift, it's my happy space. And that's why I love doing what I do, because your value, it really deserves to be seen. Tonight's going to be very interactive and we're going to reflect. We're going to think deeply. I hope you got a notepad and pen or a way of taking notes, because it's an opportunity to reconnect with ourselves and also challenge some old narratives. You're going to leave with some practical tools that you can actually apply. But before we continue, let's quickly break down coaching, because it's often very misunderstood. People often confuse coaching, mentoring, and counseling. And I believe it's so important to understand exactly what is the best thing for you in this moment. Well, coaching, which is what we're going to be focusing a lot on today, is more about helping you unlocking your own answers through questions so that you can move forwards. Thank you for the comments as well. Very impressive. Love these slides. Beautiful. Thank you. And then you've got mentoring. Mentoring is more guidance based on someone else's experience. I always say somebody's got the t-shirt, they've been there, done that, and then they show you how you can then get that t-shirt too. So that's what mentoring is for me. And then you've got counseling focused on healing and understanding the past. You may have been through a lot of experiences that have caused you trauma. And when you try and move forward, it's challenging because you always go back to those things in the past that weren't that great. And that's more counseling. And usually you'll see a licensed therapist in that space. So the difference between coaching, mentoring, counseling is here. If you're wondering which one may be the beneficial thing for you in this moment. However, you can do all of them at the same time. You can have a coach, you can have a mentor, and you can also do counseling. It's a great balance to get a holistic view of how you can grow. Okay. Because life moves quickly. If you think about your life today, you may have started at school, then gone to work. Some people get into relationships, have a family potentially, holidays, retirement. And many people just move through life without actually intentionally designing it. And before you know it, the years have passed. Many people are surviving life instead of actually living the life they want. And sometimes we're so busy living that life that we never stop and ask ourselves, well, what do I actually want? What do I want? Not what my parents want, not what society wants me to do, not what looks good with my family. What do I want? Because as you're drifting through life, you end up wearing so many different hats. So many different hats. And a lot of leaders are so overwhelmed right now. You're managing work, family, relationships, study, health and fitness, and you're trying to hold it together yourself. No wonder people feel so exhausted. Sometimes burnout is not weakness, it's carrying too much for too long. So I invite you to just slow down and think, how many hats are you wearing right now? And just write a number into the chats. Yes, I agree. We have so many hats there. Yeah, Natasha. How many hats are you wearing in your life right now? I think I've got a minimum of 8 at the moment. Yeah. I got a big head. All right, 8. Yeah. Okay. 5. Absolutely. And as you continue out throughout today, you may even find that you're wearing hats that you forgot about or hats that you didn't even want. They may have been just added into your life and now you're doing them and just call yourself the hat lady or hat man or hat other, whatever you identify as. Yeah. So, what if you actually stopped trying to do what everybody else wanted you to do and started to focus on what you actually want? What if there was a blueprint to help you get out of your own way so that you could step into your power? Well, let's start that journey. I'm going to introduce you to the Unwrap Your Gift framework. And this is the framework that underpins all of the one-to-one coaching I do, all of the group coaching that I do, and it's the way that I live life. Any post you would have seen on LinkedIn will be based on one of these pillars. And I haven't really shared it that much. However, I will be sharing it a lot more. So welcome to the Unwrap Your Gift framework. This is the 7-step framework to be more bold, visible, and confident in your career. We're going to go through each of these different pillars throughout today with various activities. The first is to have a vision. The second is to set goals. The third is to find your gifts. The fourth is to build a personal brand. The fifth is to get out of your own way. The sixth is to build your network. And the seventh is to manage your time. And I designed an audit for you to identify exactly where you sit in each of these areas. So I'm going to drop the link for you all in the chat, and you may be able to download it after this session for reference. But for now, I'm going to put it on the screen. This is the Unwrap Your Gift Growth Wheel. And this is that 7-step framework I talked about, where you can assess how clear you are on your vision, how clear are you on your goals, how aware are you of your unique strengths and natural gifts, how well are you showing up and sharing your story with your personal brands, how well are you managing your mindset about overcoming self-doubt, right? And then how strong is your network? How well do you connect with the right people? And how well do you protect time and focus on what truly matters? Now, I invite you all to just take a moment to reflect on this and put a number between 0 to 10. On your paper, you could just write 1 to 7 for now, because you may not have an opportunity to print this right now, but you write 1 to 7. And if you're how clear on your vision, are you really clear on your vision? If you are, that's a 10. If not, then it may be a 2. Okay. So just write down the number that you feel you are for each of these pillars. And then when you come back, we'll regroup. All right, I'm going to give you all some time. Just really take some time out. That's why I gave so much space in this workshop for you to have this time for yourself. So take a moment to think about each of these areas and write a number from 0 to 10, where 0 is the lowest and 10 is the highest, on where you feel you are against each of these steps. And then when we come back to discuss it, we will regroup around it. Just give me a thumbs up when you're finished. Well, step 1 is have a vision. And your vision is like a compass that helps you keep aligned with your purpose. Because everybody in the room, we're all going to have different visions. My vision was to become a coach and facilitator. Same vision as some of you here today as well. However, you have your own vision. It gives us direction. It gives us alignment with our purpose, so we know where we want to go. And if nothing changed in the next 5 years, would you be happy with where you are currently right now? That's a reflection question. But let's do an activity quickly to look at that in more detail. So this activity is writing a letter to your future self. Imagine it's 1 year from now and everything has changed. I invite you to write about your life, your work, your confidence. What are you proud of? This is a moment to just think about, what does your vision look like right now? Even if you've had a previous vision, I invite you to think about it newly in this moment and see what actually transpires for you, what occurs for you today as to what you want your life to look like in 1 year's time. Okay, so we could just imagine it's the 28th of May, 2027. What are all the things that have taken place in your life? And I invite you to treat this like a journaling exercise. So get your notepad or the way that you take notes and just write down what's happened for you in your life over the past year. And I'm going to give you some time for that. Let's see, we're running on track. So you have about 7 minutes to just free flow and look at, what would you like your life to look like in 1 year's time? Okay. Any questions? No? I'll start the clock. All right. All right. Wow. So we be vision creating together just now. And that's why I invited you all. Even though you have your own vision, sometimes when you're in a new space, you get new ideas, new things start to come up, especially in an environment like this. So even if you have your vision board or your goals already, I invite you to create something new. So I'd love to hear from a few of you. What showed up in your vision? Just one thing from your vision that stood out for you in that session just now. I love that. Just I'm living my vision. Just that acknowledgement of, this is it. This is it. This is the vision that I wrote 5 years ago or 10 years ago. This is the vision. I'm living it right now. I love that. That's awesome. Well, acknowledge each other. I see you all lighting up the screen already for that acknowledgement and the love. There's so much hate in this world at the moment. For us to come together and just share some love in any way we can is what it's all about, really. That's legacy, right? So step two is goals, set goals. And you're not going to set the goals in this session. That's going to be part of the things that you could do after today. But for each of those things on your vision list, setting goals to make them more realistic. Now, this is one way to set goals. There are many different ways to set goals. This is called the SMART method. So for each of your vision items, you can set a SMART goal. So make it specific, be really clear about it, make it measurable. Is it attainable or achievable? And is it realistic or relevant and time bound? Now, there is some argument about what does realistic mean if I've got a big dream that's never been done before. It may not be a realistic goal in that moment. So, realistic for you, is it meaningful? Okay. So, set some SMART goals around each of your vision items, bring them to life by putting some dates on them. When are they going to happen? And that helps it to become more realistic. Now, let's talk about gifts. A lot of people came here to find out more about gifts. And your gifts are the things that they come naturally to you. Okay. So for me, one of my gifts is coaching and listening to people and creating space in groups. That's a gift I have. And this is a moment to start to think about, even if you hear that little voice, I don't have any gifts. I don't know what my gift is. I invite you to just park that to the side for now and start to be open to see, well, what are some of your gifts? Okay. They could be leadership, communication. You could be very creative. These gifts often get overlooked. When you think of gifts, you often think of celebrities or musicians or sports people because their gifts are quite visible. But sometimes our gifts are wrapped up within us and they are wrapped up so tight that we don't actually believe we have any. So, unwrapping your gift is, let's just imagine that it's your birthday, for example, if you celebrate birthdays and someone gives you a gift and it's wrapped up in layers and layers of paper. Now, your goal in life is to unwrap each layer of those gifts to find out what your gift is. So, every time you do something you love, you unwrap a layer. Every time somebody says, oh, you're really good at that, you unwrap a layer. Every time someone comes to you specifically for this thing, you unwrap a layer. And in the middle of that, that is where you find your gift. So that is unwrapping your gifts. And that's what this workshop is all about. For example, you've got a teacher who has a gift for explaining, encouraging, and inspiring others. You may have a marketeer, someone who's really good and at creativity. Then the entrepreneur might be full of opportunities. You see an idea, whoop, I'm going to go with that one. Another idea, whoop, I'm going to go with that one. And another one, and that one too. Right? So it's about starting to think about, well, what is my gift? So here's an activity to reflect on. I invite you to answer these questions honestly, because that's where the patterns will reveal or start to reveal what some of your gifts are. Now, don't be too hard on yourself if you don't identify exactly what it is. This is an introduction for you to start to think, well, what are my gifts? So the questions are, what makes you feel most alive? Okay, so take a moment to think about that. Is it helping others? I can hear that in some of the shares we've been having. Love it. Yes. So what makes you feel most alive? When are you in your moment? Like for me, I'm alive right now. I'm not going to sleep anytime soon. Okay. And then number two, what do you do effortlessly that others find difficult? Some people would hate to be facilitating a workshop like this right now. It's the worst thing in the world. That's not their gift. Okay. Or if it is, they need to train and nurture it. That's another part of what I teach as well. But okay, number three, what feedback do you get consistently? For example, you're so reliable, you explain things so well, you have a great eye for detail. Number 4, when are you most in flow? Okay, when are you energized and focused? You lose track of time. Number 5, what do people come to you for, even outside your job role? Is it advice, support? Start to think about, what does this look like for you? And then when you've done that, look at the answers that you've done, and are there any themes and patterns that you could start to see? Okay. So take a moment to do that. And when you get through that, just start to look at the themes and the patterns that you see and what you believe your free gifts, or one, if you found one, maybe. All right. I'd love to hear from a few of you. What showed up for you in this exercise around your gifts? What gifts came up for you? Was there any new ones? Were you surprised by anything? What's your takeaways? You were born with a gift. Yes, I love that. I love that. And yeah, most of the time your gift comes so naturally that you don't see it as a gift. However, other people struggle to do the same thing that you can do and wonder how you do it so easily, right? Love that. Why I chose to do Unwrap Your Gift, it was about having a positive message for us to all look within ourselves and find out, what is it about us that makes us unique and special? Because so often we find all the things that we don't like about ourselves. And I really wanted to leave a message that we all have something within us. We just need to invest time to find out what that is. So that is the purpose of this whole masterclass today. All right. So step 4, once you found your gifts, build your personal brands. You know, your personal brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. Believe it or not, we already all have a personal brand, the way we show up. And that's what I talk about, building a personal brand from the inside out. It's not just about the colors on your website or what you do, what you say. It's about what you do as well. Who are you being in the world? And that's what I am referring to when it comes to building your personal brand. I do have a whole masterclass on master your personal brand, which delves into this in more depth. However, today we're going to just do light touch. Yeah, we're going to do light touch and answer a few questions. What do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room? Okay, so take a moment to write that down. And then, what value do you bring to your industry or workplace? I wanted to be a coach. That was what I wanted to be known for. And I wanted to be an international coach, not just any coach. And then I wanted to be a virtual international coach. People could count on me. Those were the types of things that I wanted to be known for. Consistent, you know. But step number 5, one of the biggest challenges on the journey of is going to be ourselves. Overthinking, fear, comparison, self-doubt. These are the types of things that can keep us really stuck. And you don't need to be somebody else in this process. It's just important not to abandon yourself. Okay. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this workshop, there's various different ways to help in this space. You can have the coaching, you can have the counseling, and you can have the mentoring. They all serve different purposes to help us get out of our own way. And it's important to understand where we are right now and what's the best medium for us in that moment. Okay. Step number 6 is to build your network. And I say, eagles don't fly with pigeons. Eagles don't fly with pigeons. It's so important who you hang around with when you're on your journey. Okay. Your circle, it really does influence your future. So choose wisely. So take a moment. Who are 3 people you admire and would like to connect with in regards to your vision or your goals? How can you add value to them or their community? And what networking events or communities can you join? Okay. Just take a few moments to think about, what does this look like for you? If you want to level up even more, There's always a next level, whilst appreciating the level we've reached. Gotta have that gratitude. Absolutely, darling. Okay. And there's always time after this session to come back to look at your notes and add some more information. Okay. Step number 7 is all about managing your time. Managing your time. If you look at this weekly planner, some of your diaries are back to back to back from morning to night, and every single meeting in there is for other people, and there's zero time for you. And managing your time helps you to be able to pour more into other people because you're pouring back into yourself. Even blocking off lunch or taking time out for breaks, to add that into your diary is important. Okay, for you to have that freshness again in your day. So plan intentionally. Start each day with a clear plan where you can. Prioritize. Focus on what matters. Time block. Protect your time and set boundaries. Say no to what doesn't move you forwards. Be mindful of that. I always block time to play badminton. Absolutely. It's a great way to reset and refuel throughout the day. And then review and adjust accordingly. What worked for you last week may not work for you next week. So it's important to keep an eye on that. Do you have any meetings in your diary that could be an email? Do you still need to have those regularly weekly catch-ups? Could they be quarterly? So just looking at your diary, and no is a complete sentence. Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, you may want to take a note of this. What are your top 3 priorities right now? And then what tasks or activities, I say, waste or take up most of your time? It could be social media scrolling, it could be coffee chats, whatever you want to put on there. And then how will you protect your time this week? How are you going to start to protect your time? Because time is your most valuable asset. Okay, so just think at a high level, what does this look like? I did say we're going to do work today. This is going to be an intense masterclass. We're not going to just be looking at slides. We're going to be doing some thinking and reflecting and sharing. That is what it's all about. And this is a full-on workshop that I do with my clients. So just thought I'd share it. Haven't done it for about 3 years in a public space. So this has been great to have you all here. And I've updated a few things as well, which is exciting. Love the love. Love the love. And I'm conscious of time because I am very strict on time. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is that introduction to time management. We haven't delved into it deeply because there's so many tools like you just suggested and on what you could do to enhance it. However, without the basics, it's going to be pretty challenging to feel like you're on top of everything. So thank you for sharing that. Now, a few final reflections and takeaways. What have you learned about yourself today? Just take a moment to reflect on that. What have you learned about yourself today? And then, based on that, what bold action will you take this week? Okay. So just take a few moments to think about what does that look like for you? What have you learned today about yourself? And what bold action will you take this week? And I invite you to journal after today as well. Just write down what other things showed up for you. You schedule 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever you need to do to really look back at all of these steps and delve a bit deeper.
So, first of all, thank you for hosting this and creating this space for us to come to, a safe space for us to come to and to be able to talk about unwrapping our gifts. Um, it was great, and it allowed me to dig a little deeper, further into what my gifts were and how I could use them to benefit my, not just myself, but for other people. It's always good to give back, um, and just to learn to identify those things that you take for granted as maybe not a gift, but to know that it is a gift to somebody else, you know, for somebody else it is a gift, that you are a gift. And to be able to create that space for other people, to allow them to see your gifts and to share your gifts. Um, it was great because I learned how to now better manage my time, to be able to know that branding myself is not just branding my company, but branding who I am, and to be authentically myself, to be transparent, to that I have a story, that I have a voice, and it's important to share that because those things are gifts, and anything that you have to share is not for you to hold on to, but it's for you to give to someone else so that they could grow and learn. So I really truly appreciate this time, this space, that you have created for us, and it has been a blessing for me. And I would encourage anyone that could attend, to unwrap their gifts, to learn how to unwrap their gifts, to be able to know how to share those gifts, and to know how to bring those gifts out of themselves. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Kelly. What an awesome. I was holding back the tears. Thank you so much to being in service of other people who may see something for themselves in that share as well. Thank you.